Hello, Morgan. How are you? I'm excited to have you on the podcast today.
Yes, I'm excited. Thank you.
And I love it. You're like dual, or maybe triple beveraging. So like
I,
your
I am
matcha.
triple beveraging.
I saw a smoothie.
I have smoothie, matcha, and water.
I love that. Love that. Well, first start off, tell us about you. Like, where do you live? How many kids you have? The basics.
Yeah, I'm 28. Yes, I'm 28. I had to think about
20,
that
so
for a minute.
young.
28 years young. I've been married to my husband for going on 11 years now. So we got married real young. He was in the Navy. So we currently live by Naval Air Station Whidbey, since he currently works on base. So we've lived here for the past few years and live on Whidbey Island. So it's
I will say
beautiful.
my USPS when I sent you a package is still pretty mad every time I put in your address. I'm like, oh my gosh.
It is also a new build, so
Okay. That's why.
they still can't get it down after 2 years being here. So that's just great. But yeah, and I've been a registered nurse for 5 years now, going on six. And yeah, I work as a foster care and adoption support case manager through an insurance company, through Medicaid, through the state. And then I also am a home health nurse for the geriatric population. So I mostly serve ages 65 plus.
So
Is my main.
no one in between. It's either elderly or kids.
Yes,
I love
and I
it.
serve up to 26 with kids, but yeah, we
Cool.
rarely see like 30 or 40-year-olds with home health. But yeah, so those are the two things I do as a nurse. And oh,
Yay.
and I have two boys, my kids.
I
I
love
have
that.
a 4-year-old, 4.5-year-old, Brayden, and then I have Hunter who just turned 9 months old.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that's so sweet. I know, and you've always been very like natural and holistic, even honestly, like when you came to us back in 2021. So like I would love to hear your background. Like what have you struggled with working in more of the conventional care setting? Um, I don't know, like how do you feel? I'm always curious because I'm sure it tugs at your heartstrings of like what you want to say, what you want to recommend, what you want to do. And that's just like, not how the system is set up.
Yeah, so I really I learned what functional medicine was actually back in 2018,
Okay.
I worked as a school nurse for my first 3 years of nursing, and the superintendent at the
Mhm.
district I worked at had us watch The Broken Brain by Dr. Mark Hyman. And that is what kind of changed my view and showed me what products are doing to us. So that's the first thing I changed was products and different things like that. And then I kind of slowly dug deeper into food and supplements and things like that. And that's when I was pregnant with my first, was in 2018. So I was still working in conventional healthcare, and I have this whole time in Western medicine. But for school nursing, I saw it a lot, kiddos with chronic health conditions. But again, working as a school nurse, I didn't know as much about what they could have done. Like I didn't know root causes of asthma and that things could be changed and things like that. I think it really changed when I was working in home health, which is I still currently do. I've done since 2020, and the hospital setting. I tried the hospital for about 9, 10 months.
I
Wasn't
remember
really for
that.
me.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember you were like not a fan.
yeah. I love just, yeah, being with people and interacting and things, but bedside nursing wasn't really my thing. I gave it a shot just to give it a shot. But yeah, I've stuck with home health because of the flexibility and stuff with it. But home health is really where I see it. I see these people in their 60s debilitated by chronic disease. Because I go over everything with them. I go over what their diet is, et cetera. And a lot of these people are the hypertension, heart disease, diabetics, and a lot of them just don't really care, to be honest, to change, or
Mm,
they just don't have the education. And I try to bring in some education that I've learned, like getting these people on electrolytes, getting them on a probiotic if they're chronic antibiotic users. A lot of them are
yes.
not even on a probiotic, teaching them about foods. Diabetics, I teach them about how the first thing they eat in the morning is so important and what can we do versus just having a banana for breakfast versus a high protein breakfast. So I kind of have been integrating the nutrition and wellness knowledge that I've learned um, into my patients to hopefully make just like a little impact. And I think that I have made an impact for some of my patients. So that's
Yeah.
really nice.
Yeah, you
Um,
have for sure. I mean, you're right. Like, there's not a lot of education. And I feel like in that age group, yeah, I mean, they didn't grow up like we did, like being born
no.
in like the 90s and stuff, in the 80s when processed food was like real high, but
Hmm.
they were in like their prime of life and now starting to like having families and stuff at the time in the 80s and
Yeah.
90s when processed food came. And honestly, I feel like there was a huge shift for them and so antibiotics started being, so like I think of
Yes.
my mom was very antibiotic happy. Oh, any little aches and pains, there's antibiotic or whatever. So I feel like that generation, it's so crazy because I'm like 65 even. I'm like, that's still on the younger side. Like I'm
Yes.
thinking like, let's live to 100. So I'm like, you're only halfway through your life. Like that's still to
Yeah.
me I mean, yes, you're getting older, but still young. And because I mean, I see, people who have taken care of their body and they're like 80 and they look amazing and they
Yeah.
can do more than me and they have energy. And I'm like, I think that's how it should be. I don't
I
think we should
agree.
be
Yeah.
60 or 65 and like barely can like go outside and do something because they're so tired or they're disabled or something of that
A
nature.
lot of them are bedridden at this point.
Ugh,
Yeah, and they're
I
in their 60s
cannot.
and it's pretty sad and a lot of the time at that point they just don't have the energy or their
Mhm.
bodies won't even let them meal prep. Their bodies won't let them do those things because they're so far gone and it's pretty sad
That
for a
sucks.
lot of my patients. So you just kind of got to separate yourself from that with that and my foster care work. Like you as a practitioner, you just got to kind of separate yourself from that. But I
Yeah.
do like making a difference with the education that I can give to them in the
Yeah.
little bit of time I see them because I mostly do admissions since I'm an RN. So I'm the first person who sees them and can give them their first set of information. And then from there,
Nice.
other practitioners will follow up. So I'm
Nice.
glad that I'm the first one with eyes on them so I can kind of set their road for recovery.
Yeah, yeah, and then they move on to someone else and they're like, "Man, Morgan was the best."
I
No, but
have said
I'm
that.
but no, you're truly are making like a difference in those populations. So I love that. And we need more of that, like, right? Like we can't change the system, but I feel like with the like practitioners that are in that space, like, yeah, you like just doing, I don't know, planting some seeds, I feel like that just will eventually help move the whole system in the right
Mhm.
direction. So I'm
Yeah,
thankful for you for, being in that spot professionally
yeah,
and doing that work.
yeah.
Um, so tell us more about you coming to us like in 2021. I think there might have been a break too. We worked together and I think maybe you came back during pregnancy. I might be making that up in my head.
And we were
But
working together the whole time.
oh, the whole
Yeah.
time. Okay.
I just moved to Claire.
Okay, that's probably what it was. Okay, so tell us like what was going on in your like health journey? Like what were some things that you were diagnosed with, things that you struggled with? Just give us like the history of your health.
Yeah, so my health really started going downhill a couple of months after I gave birth to my first son. So that was, I gave birth to him in May of 19, and I started just getting bloating and gas and just acne, headaches. My periods were not good. And I was like, oh, I just gave birth. That's why. Because I got my period back 6 weeks after I gave birth to my first son. So, which is lovely.
You didn't even get a break.
I didn't get a break and I was breastfeeding too. I was like, okay.
What the heck?
Yeah, but yeah, so I started getting these things and I was trying to like self-treat. So try gluten-free, try dairy-free, all these things with what little knowledge I had, just honestly from Dr. Mark Hyman and functional medicine in that
Love
aspect.
him.
So I kind of just read his books and tried my best. But again, that does not like reading the book doesn't like you need a practitioner to see you and follow you through because I had no blood work, nothing like that. And it
Yeah.
just started slowly getting worse. Like my polycystic ovaries really pain. I've had polycystic ovaries since I was 16. I
Wow.
don't anymore, but I did since I was when I was 16, I had a softball size cyst on my ovary. It was crazy.
Wow. And
Hmm.
what I'm curious, what was before? Like pre-16, did you have anything that was like a red flag, maybe like painful periods, like from the start of getting your period or anything? Or
I'd
is that
say
like
just
your first?
really heavy periods. I was on antibiotics a bit as a kid, abdominal
Hmm.
migraines as a kid, chronic head migraines. What really made it worse for me was getting on birth control. That's what
Yeah.
fucked me up, was getting on birth control.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, a
So
big nod.
I was not on birth control for very long because my body reacted very poorly to it. And I am the kind of person that's very in tune with my body. So I was like, this clearly is not making me feel good. We're done. So
Yeah.
I tried a few different forms of birth control, like the IUD, pill, NuvaRing, all that kind of thing. None of it worked. I was on it short term, thank goodness.
I did too. I think I tried, and of course I didn't know anything. I think I was like
Hmm.
maybe like 16, and I tried it for 2 days, and it was like I think it was a
2 days.
pill, 2 days, and I literally I remember I think it was I took it one day, and then the next day I took it, but then I was like dry heaving, I was so nauseous,
Oh my
and I
goodness.
was like, no, no, no. I'm like I don't need this, and I deep down I was like, why was I even taking it? I mean, yeah, sexually active, I guess, or preventing, or maybe about to be, but I also think it was maybe I wanted bigger boobs because every girl that was on birth control had bigger boobs. So I
Oh, that
will
happened.
openly
Yeah.
admit that.
It also made
So
me gain a bunch of weight. So,
exactly. So yeah, I took it 2 days and I'm so glad my body was like rejecting it, like in a
mhm.
big way of so I'm not falling into that because yeah, I feel
Yeah.
like a lot of women we talk to, they're like, "You've been on it 10 years, 15 years." I'm like,
Yes.
oh my gosh. So
Hmm.
yay for our bodies.
Yay for our bodies and listening to them. But as I'm steering all these different directions right now. But essentially, I started getting stomach attacks in about November-ish. And it was just excruciating stomach pain, like squeezing. It was, I don't remember exactly, but I think it was like right around when I ate. Um, my acne was horrible. I'm still dealing with the scar. My whole face right here was just
Oh,
pizza. Horrible acne. Like I looked like I was 14 with the acne. It was horrible. I was getting migraines, horrible periods, fatigue. And then I was trying like these different diets they put me on. They tried to put me on like a pescatarian diet, and then I lost a ton of weight and my milk supply dropped because I wasn't getting enough protein.
mm,
And then all the soy was messing up my gut and the beans. And yeah, it was just
oh yeah.
but yeah, I went to Western medicine about the stomach attacks and they did a little bit of blood work. They're like, okay, well, you're not celiac. So, and I was like, okay. And they diagnosed me with IBS and they gave me Bentyl. So,
What's that?
Bentyl, it slows your GI motility.
Okay. Okay.
So,
Well,
just what you want.
yeah, for like IBSD. That's
Hmm.
crazy. And then when did you find the ulcer too? Because I know that was, I think when we talked that you were mentioning you felt like it was from like a lot of stress, which I know we'll get into, but do you feel like tell us about that time?
Yeah, I had a stress ulcer. That was when my husband was deployed back in 2015.
Wow.
So, and they just treated it with a omeprazole, but who knows how well that really healed. And I think that really had to do with my leaky gut and my
Mm,
impaired yeah, all the things.
yeah.
Um,
Have you gone back for a scan or like a endoscopy or anything?
they didn't do anything for me. They didn't do any testing to begin with. It was just the black
What?
tarry stools. So
Oh
they're like,
my
oh, you have
God.
black tarry stools, you have an ulcer, here's a omeprazole for a couple days. That's all that was done. No follow-up, no nothing.
Whoa,
Yeah.
that's weird to me. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe that's just what they do. But I will say at least they're like pretty. I from I feel like every experience I've heard, most of the time they're better at like doing like the scans or the scopes or whatever. But I don't know if I've ever heard of someone of. But I don't know. Maybe that's just like a big red flag symptom, and they're just like, oh, I don't even have to look at it. But I don't know. Don't you want to see how bad it is, or maybe not like not how bad? I don't know. I feel like
Yeah,
that
you'd
information
think.
would be helpful.
Yeah, you'd think follow-up would be nice, but no, not really in follow-up. And back then I had no clue
Yeah, yeah,
anything.
yeah.
So I didn't know follow-up. But yeah, that was the only ulcer that I know of that I
Okay.
had.
Okay.
Is mostly the diagnosis was the IBS and the polycystic ovaries. Those are my two main things. And then clearly hormonal imbalance because of my acne and things like that. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, I started down the road, keep going down the road. The stomach attacks just kind of went away on their own. I don't really know what happened. But again, I was just kind of following a healthier diet, getting into more wellness practices, and I found a naturopath. So she got me
Nice.
started on castor oil packs, on I can never say it, DGL, the licorice.
I never know how to say that either. So say DGL. Yeah.
DGL. She got
Um,
me started on that and more probiotics and like L-glutamine, that kind of stuff.
yeah. All the
So she got
basics.
me, yeah, but I never really had, like, she never gave me a thorough stool test or anything like that. Like, it wasn't a super deep dive into things. Like I got
That's
like
also
topical stuff for my
surprising.
acne. Yeah, so
Hmm.
it wasn't, I got blood work and it was all normal. So I feel like people, they saw my blood work, it was normal, and then they didn't dig any deeper.
Okay.
Um, and again, she was like, oh, this is just stress. Like this will get better, this will go away, stress. Um, so yeah, I just saw the naturopath for a while. I ended up getting some genetic testing from another functional medicine practitioner, was found to have MTHFR, um, and different things like that, just showing my lovely genetics. Um, so
Yeah. What
finding
testing
I
have
have,
you done? Like in like with your naturopath, with us, like what testing have you done in general, if you can think
she did a
about?
SIBO test with me. That was negative. And then again, we just did a bunch of like blood tests. Inflammation was always high in every single one of my blood tests. I did food sensitivity testing multiple times. I did allergy testing. I was found I was allergic to cats.
Yeah, oh, ditto.
So
Ditto,
I was on
girl.
like Allegra for a little bit or something like that. And I wasn't allergic to cats before I was pregnant. So clearly pregnancy kind of changed my immune system a lot, which I know it does.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, just blood work. I think I got a stool test, but it was like a basic one. I don't really, it mostly was like an H. pylori kind of situation that was negative.
Yeah, I know you did
Um,
the GI map. I don't know. Did we
that
do
was
that
with
with you?
you guys.
Okay,
Yeah.
that was like a long time ago when we did GI map, and then you just did gut zoomer.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
and then MRT, I know you did with us.
Yes.
Did you do like the IgG like ones too, like the
With my
typical?
practitioner, with the naturopath. Yes. I did the
Okay.
IgG, IgA, that kind of thing. And that's where a lot of stuff came up. And I don't feel like I was really guided on how to cut things out and how to bring things back in. Um, so there was that. And then, yeah, standard blood tests.
Yeah.
Again, all normal, just showing some inflammation.
Yeah. What
Um,
test do you feel like was the most, and this is like your whole journey. So with us, with other people, other practitioners, what test do you feel like was the most like enlightening or I don't know, your favorite, just in general?
I loved the stool test I just got, but the first one was the most enlightening because I was able to
Mm,
see my bacteria. I was able to learn like beta glucuronidase, what that is, and how that relates
yeah.
to my estrogen and my hormones, and that I was estrogen dominant a couple years ago, which I'm not anymore.
Yay. Cheers,
Yay.
cheers.
And just seeing, and I really liked that as a baseline too, because just getting a stool test a couple months ago is it's really cool to see the differences and also see how
Yeah.
pregnancy affected my
Yeah.
probiotics and different things like that, because pregnancy really affects your gut, and I don't think that's talked about either.
Yeah.
Um, how much pregnancy and hormones affects your gut.
Yeah.
And both my pregnancies messed up my gut. So
Wow, that's
yeah,
crazy. And but yeah, I know that like stress is, and I know it feels like it's a like a scapegoat, like, oh, like we just don't know what's going on, so stress. But
yeah.
like it's so crazy how much it does impact gut. And it's not even like the stressors of like maybe like my husband's deployed or something, like an
Hmm.
external stressor, but pregnancy is also a stressor on the body.
Yes.
And so it is very interesting to see like I feel like you're like me in that way of like when you're stressed, it kind of goes to the gut. You feel it in the gut
Yes.
which sucks. But
Hmm.
I actually backing up, I know you mentioned have you had PCOS at a young age. Have you ever had any issues getting pregnant, or is getting pregnant pretty easy for you?
No, first time for both of them. Like my first one, we weren't really even
Mhm.
trying, but yeah, so that's, I was
Awesome.
very surprised actually because of the ovary problems and history of birth control, stuff like that. Um,
Yeah.
and stress. I know that stress affects your ability to get pregnant as well. But yeah, first time for both of them. So I'm very, very thankful for
Nice.
that.
Nice. And what do you feel like was the biggest struggle when you were changing diet and just like, I don't know, making better choices? Like what was your biggest challenge?
My biggest challenge, that's hard to say. I
Or
wouldn't,
I don't know, you're kind of, I will say Morgan's kind of a baddie because like she kind of like you were a great listener. Like any suggestions, you kind of just did it and you did it. Like
yeah.
I don't recall ever being like, oh, I'm struggling with this. I don't know, you just kind of did it.
Yeah, you just kind of get her done.
Yeah.
If I see that something's going to benefit my health, I just do it and I just
Yeah.
make it a habit. I'm really into habit stacking. I am really into the mindset around health. I'm just really goal oriented, and my pet peeve is when people make excuses on why they can't be healthy and why they can't get the shit done. So I just
So
want to get it
basically your
done.
personality.
Yeah, it's my personality.
I love
Um,
that.
the hardest thing would probably just be like other people being like, this girl is crazy. Like, what is she talking about? But
Yeah.
really, I guess that doesn't really bug me that much because I'm like, look what it's doing for me. And then I can teach other people and they try those practices too. And they're like, oh, okay.
How people, that is a thing though. People do really struggle with that. Do you have any suggestions on like not letting that get to you? Because I know it does to some people. And I know when they're like on a health changing journey and they're going out to dinner and then yeah, people think they're weird or I don't know. It's just
Mhm.
like it can make some people uncomfortable. Do you have any suggestions for people that do struggle with that?
I just really dig deep into yourself and what's your why? Why are you doing this? And are people's opinions more powerful than your why? And
Yeah.
also you can look and be like, look at them. They're miserable and they're
Mhm.
having diarrhea after they eat every time. They're having bloating
Yeah.
and and they're not doing anything about it. So who's the winner here?
Yeah. Yeah. I love that.
You're healing yourself and you're doing something really good for yourself. And the first part of healing is hard. You make a ton of sacrifices. It is not fun to be on bone broth soup
Yes.
for weeks on end. It is not fun. It gets boring. I love me a bone broth soup, but not for
Yeah.
weeks on end.
Yes.
And it kind of sucks, like that you have to do that, or there's a lot more preparation with going places,
Mm.
and things like that, like looking at menus, stuff like that. But really, when you heal your gut, then there's more leniency to what you can do. And that sometimes you can have a slice of bread years, or not years down the road, but when
Yeah.
you are healed and it won't flare you up like it did. And that's because of the work that you did and the sacrifices that you made. So it's a really slow journey. It's not, gut stuff is not a quick fix. And you have
No.
to be patient, and it's a lot of mindset work. It's really a mental game. And you just like, I get defeated sometimes because I'm still having bloating, irregular stools, and gas and problems.
Yeah.
Um, but again, I got to give my body grace. It has had two babies.
Yeah.
Those babies have really flared up. It has been under stress and gut. I mean, how many years did it take to mess up my gut? It's going to take a long time to get
Yeah.
it back to where it was.
As
So
you can
it's
see,
not a
she has
linear journey.
As you can see, you guys, she has like the best mindset ever. But it's so true because I think there's a unrealistic expectation of like you do a test, you change your diet, you implement these supplements, and yeah, maybe you do like you change your lifestyle a little bit and then it's like gone forever. And that's just not how life works. Like life, it doesn't, is it good forever? There's always something, right? You lose a family member, you go through just a season of marriage struggles. You go
Mhm.
through a season of kid struggles. They're really trying you. They're teenagers. Like there's always going to be something. And
Yeah.
so even just understanding that like we ideally want to be working and like getting better, but there's always going to be like road bumps
Yeah.
always.
Yeah.
And I felt that too. Like my gut can be great for a year and then
Mhm.
something big happens and then all of a sudden it's like feeling irritable again. I've never been diagnosed with IBS, but it's just I would imagine because that's what it feels like. It's irritable. And so
IBS is
then
just, they just say that to everyone, I
I know.
swear.
And then you have to like ramp up some things that you didn't have to do. Like you have to kind of maybe get back on the ball and then like, it improves and that's just life. And so yeah, I think
Mhm.
that there's an unrealistic expectation of like I have this problem, I'm going to do this, it's gone forever. And I'm like,
Mhm. No, it's like
maybe if
for
you have a
every
perfect
human.
life.
Yeah, and for me, I keep digging deeper into everything, like different biohacks, the different things I can do. How can I
Yeah.
calm my nervous system? I've been really into this. My word for the year is healing. So, how can I really dig deep and heal my body from the inside out? What
Yeah.
can I do to really nervous system work is really what I'm working on because I know that stress is a huge root cause of my problems with my gut. So, what can I do to calm my nervous system now that my body's not pregnant and under that horrible stress?
Yeah.
Babies are amazing. There's no horrible part of it, but your body is under chronic stress
Yes.
for 9, 10 months plus.
Yeah. You're building a human.
Yes, it's a lot on your body. We don't get enough
Yeah.
credit. It's a lot.
Yeah. What do you feel like has been the biggest like habit for your nervous system that you feel like has helped the most out of like all, I know you're doing multiple things, but like which one do you feel like has moved the needle the most mentally?
I would say the biggest thing, that's kind of like a triple thing, but I have a grounding mat, I have a red light, and I meditate in front of the rest. I have it stacked. So I do all three. Really learning, um, just meditation has taught me so much. And I know that sounds just very cliche with meditation, but it teaches me to be more present in the moment. It
Mm,
teaches me to catch myself when my thoughts are going off, and it helps me bring myself back to the present. It reminds me to deep breathe, to not hold my breath, to not clench my teeth. It just reminds my body to release the tension. And I think the grounding mat and the red light are really good um, tools on top of that. And you don't even
yeah.
need those things to do everything. Like grounding is free. You don't have to have a red light. Like these things don't have to be super expensive or fancy either
Yeah.
to do.
I'm with you. I think one of the cliche things that when I started incorporating, and that was journaling for me,
Yeah.
it seems so simple and it seems kind of stupid, to be honest, of like, yeah, that's really gonna heal me if I journal. But it isn't until you do it. And I was surprised. I'm like, wow, that was actually way more therapeutic than I ever imagined or thought it would be. Because I was definitely the person when I first like, start listening to things and people would mention journaling. I'm like, yeah, that's not gonna change. It's too easy or it's too whatever. And no, I was pleasantly surprised. So I feel that way with like meditation. Like
Yeah.
it calms me down more than I thought it would. Like all those things pleasantly surprised me. And they're
Yeah.
all free. Okay, maybe with journaling, you need like a pen and paper, but whatever. Like you get like
Yeah.
it's free for the most part. And so I'm with you. I've been pleasantly surprised of different habits that seem so cliche or simple and they actually move the needle a ton.
Yeah. I didn't
Um,
even think about affirmation. I do like the daily gratitude journaling and affirmations. Those are also huge
yeah.
game changer for me.
Yeah.
And the Calm app's guided breathing is really helpful as well, like having
Nice.
someone guide you through breathing. And the Calm
Nice.
app's relatively inexpensive, so I feel like that's a really good tool
I'm gonna write this
with that.
down. So with resources. Um,
But yeah, that's also a huge game changer for me was gratitude journal and brain dumping. I think that's kind of what you're talking about, just
yeah.
like when you're feeling anxious, just brain dump, and then those thoughts go onto the paper versus staying in your brain. That's been a
Yeah.
huge game changer too.
Oh
See, I
yes.
told you I couldn't just choose one thing.
I know it's so hard, but I do love that, especially for people who are like, I'm laying down and I can't like shut my brain off. I'm like, you gotta brain dump because obviously
Yes.
there's like a lot ticking in there and you just gotta again, sounds so stupid. It sounds like it wouldn't work, but there is something so powerful. It's like leaving your brain, moving through your arm, moving to your pencil,
Yes.
and then it's just coming out and you just feel more like rested or like I know I gotta do it, but I don't know. I don't know. I love it.
Hmm.
Um, what do you like? What other like? Do you have a gadget, a certain gadget? I know we were talking about the Oura Ring, but any favorite health gadget right now that you are just like absolutely loving?
Yeah, I would say the Aura Ring. I've only had it about a week.
Oh, so you're like newbie. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Well, I got the wrong size and they had to send it back. They don't
No,
have half sizes, so this is a
they
little big.
don't.
But that's okay. But here's my Aura Ring. I have been loving it. I love data, is what I
Yeah,
love.
yeah,
So seeing my sleep is really interesting. My baby still wakes up one time a night, so it's really interesting to see like when he wakes up and how that affects my sleep score. Like when I drink caffeine and how, different just little things
yeah.
like that. Um, just small things throughout my day, and it's really interesting how I see my sleep score with that. So I'm excited to keep using that. But the gadget that I've been using for a long time, I would say, is my red light sauna. I love
Yeah.
that.
Yes, for sure. Yes, with the Aura Ring, I've loved it and I get so excited in the morning because I'm so excited to see
Mhm.
like what is my readiness? And I don't know, I'm such a geek with some of that stuff. But
I'm the
I
same
do
way. I'm like, what's
I
my ready?
I literally like those goals of like, I don't look at my phone for the first hour waking up. No, I'm looking at it in like the first 2 seconds because I need to know my readiness score. So that goal that people have of like not looking at your phone, I'm like, I can't. I'm sorry, I have the Aura Ring now.
I
Like I have to
gotta
like
see my readiness. How do I know if I can live if I don't know how ready I am?
what is your from what wearing it for the week? Do you feel like you see any trends with your sleep? So like mine is I definitely feel like I struggle the most with getting enough REM sleep. Out of bed anything. Did you have you found any trends in your sleep that has surprised you?
Not quite yet, because I've only had it for a
Okay.
week, so I think I need to have it for a little bit longer. But I was surprised my deep sleep is really good. That's one thing. And I fall asleep at an optimal amount of time, and I fall asleep to a meditation. So I think that
Nice.
that really helps. Um,
Cool.
but yeah, I need to have data for a bit longer, but
Yeah.
I really like the stress part of it. Seeing my steps. I've been wanting to track my steps for a while, so that's always cool.
Yeah.
And I just don't want the giant Apple Watch. Um,
Yeah. Well, I think I have the like not the biggest one. My husband has like the big one.
mhm.
I will say the Apple Watch is a little bit more accurate in steps, I feel
Oh,
like.
okay.
And the Oura Ring's a bit excessive with steps. So yeah. But I love both. I think like the Oura Ring is the best, not so much in activity, but the best in like sleep for
Yeah.
sure and stress. And
And
the Apple Watch
cycle.
is good at, oh, cycle too. I do
I use
love
it for
that
my
part about
cycle.
it.
Hmm.
Actually, I know stress, as we were talking about, like it's just a big trigger and stuff for your gut. Like, have you, I mean, you know, you're stressed, but like, were you seeing the data? I know I was. Were you just like, wow, I really am stressed?
Yeah, I'd say my stress is up there a lot of the time. And I've been trying to be really cognizant on just chilling out. And I've been a lot better with it. Like my stress and anxiety, from when a couple months after I just gave birth to now is night and day. Like I'm feeling a lot more like
Nice.
myself. Even in pregnancy, the first trimester anxiety is just debilitating. And then
Wow.
um, stress and anxiety once you give birth too, and that whole roller coaster. And because my stress got really bad and it flared up my gut when I went back to work.
Mm.
So I do see correlations of if I'm too busy. One of my goals for this year is having one weekend a month where I don't have plans because I'm the kind of person that I like stack my weekends up with plans, and we live an hour and a half away from friends and family. So it's a trek to see people.
So, oh my gosh, it's like
Yeah.
a whole trip.
Yes. Yeah. We have a birthday dinner tonight, and it's literally a whole day event just to go to a freaking dinner. So it's a lot, especially with the two young children. And so I made a promise to myself that I would have one weekend a month that was not booked with anything. So I think that's one thing, is not overbooking myself and overloading myself,
Oh, I
and
love
being
that.
cognizant around to-dos at work. Because I used to be like, I cannot log off until every single one of my to-dos is done. And I'm like, it'll be okay. It can wait till tomorrow.
Yeah, for sure. I know.
Just
I was
little
actually going
things.
to ask you, what are some of your like other 2024 like health goals that you have? And I love that your word is healing. So
Yeah.
yay.
Yeah, I have a ton of health goals. I'm kind of crazy with goals.
Is there any, and just like wrapping up, but do we have any like foods or diet changes that you felt like really changed the game for you throughout your whole journey of trying all the different things? What do you feel like has moved the needle the most?
The most, I feel like my body, and again, everyone's body is so different, and diet is not one size fits all. I feel best on paleo. I feel best
Nice.
lower carb. I don't do super well with really high carb. I'm not a starchy person. I don't love potatoes or anything like that. I know, I'm crazy. Like I could give up potatoes and rice forever and I would be fine.
I could give a brace, but potatoes?
Potatoes, I'm not a potato person. Like I have to force myself to eat a sweet potato,
What?
but
Mashed
I eat it.
potatoes?
I don't like mashed potatoes.
What?
I know that's your favorite food. I saw that. I'm sorry to break your heart.
That's fine. Then I extra love you because then if we got dinner, I will just like, there's no one taking it. So like, I
Yeah,
love that. I
I
love that
could
for
eat my
me.
mashed potatoes. Yeah. And I'll just eat the protein and veggie. But I think my body just like it's like this is what you feel best on. And really, so listening to my body and know and kind of playing with diets and figure out what I feel best on. And really that's paleo is what I feel best on. So I think that's the biggest thing is just
Nice.
looking and paying attention to your body and listening to how you feel after certain things. And of course, breastfeeding, I need extra carbs. So I do eat the potato, I do eat the rice, stuff like that. Um, but
Nice.
yeah, Kegels have been my number one
I
thing.
saw that on your
Just,
Instagram. Now I'm
yeah,
like very intriigued, actually.
those
I
are the
haven't tried it
egg-free
yet, but
ones that I sent for Faith.
yes,
They're
yes.
egg-free. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So They're
I
good.
love me some bagels. I actually was looking, so I'm just getting, I want this year. I know I like did sourdough bread, but I want to get into
Hmm.
more like sourdough things.
Yeah.
And actually someone that I follow on Instagram, she has like a whole cookbook for like einkorn, which is like it's a wheat, but it is the most ancient strain. So it has like the
Yeah.
less wheat and all that stuff for anyone that doesn't know. But I see that she has like a bagel recipe and it actually looks pretty simple with einkorn. And einkorn is always so finicky because it doesn't have as
Yeah.
much gluten. So it's usually naturally a denser flour. Like it's just not the same. You can tell like it's not the same bread. It's
It's
just
hard to
a
work with. I tried
denser,
to make a loaf and it
more
didn't
nutty.
work.
Really?
Yes.
Oh no, with einkorn? Or
Hmm.
however you say that. I might be saying it wrong.
I say einkorn.
Okay. It's just different. So
Yes.
like, and it might maybe it did it really not work? So I'm gonna say maybe it like didn't work in the sense of like what traditional is because
It
that's
kind of looked
einkorn.
like real flat. It was like just it was
Okay.
really flat looking.
Okay. Maybe
But
it didn't work.
yeah, that was my first loaf ever for sourdough in general. So I think I need to start. I
Oh,
have a starter. I do sourdough. So I think I need to
yes.
master the actual loaf and then move on to that.
Yes. That's
But
what
yeah,
I did.
bagels aren't that bad. My best friend makes bagels a lot.
Nice. Yeah, it looked pretty
So,
easy. And I'm like,
yeah.
I'm gonna do this because this looks pretty amazing. I love that. And let's see, is there anything else that I wanted to, anything you wanted to share before we wrapped up? Anything health-wise or words of wisdom for
Oh
anyone
goodness.
else?
That's a loaded question.
I know.
Um, I would say that mindset is everything, is my biggest thing, and that you can do hard things, and it's hard at first, and it might look like a lot at first, but you don't have to do it all at first. You
Yeah.
just need to do one step at a time. If you can only start with breakfast, great. And then you can slowly, because if I were to tell someone my morning and night routine right now, they'd be like, oh my God, I can never do that. But again, how
Yeah.
many years have I been on this journey? It was not always like that. It was very simple. So
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
do, just swap your deodorant, just
Yeah.
change to organic, just drink more water, sip on bone broth, like just do small things and you'll see a huge difference.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm so glad you brought up mindset because that is something that me and my dietitians have seen. And it's just we obviously have patients that are in a more negative mindset, but I think that can be normal when you talk to yourself that way for so long.
Yeah,
But we
yeah.
see such a huge difference. And honestly, just like enjoying the journey. Even though like sometimes the journey is not fun because if you have health issues and you're not feeling well, it's not fun. But it's a different experience when you
Mhm.
go into it with more of like just not trying to say there is a thing as toxic positivity, but just looking at it with more like glass half full than half
Yeah,
empty. Like we
yeah.
see a huge difference in those patients who are naturally a little bit more like negative, even though they're getting results, but sometimes they're still like in that like negative mindset. And the people
Mhm.
that have the positive mindset, it's such a better experience. And so
Yeah.
I think it's the podcast that's coming the week after this one. I was saying how like being in that negative mindset, it doesn't do anything for you. Like it does nothing, but a positive mindset will always like move you, forward and help in some way. But
Mhm.
there's nothing that comes out of a negative mindset, like nothing. Like it's not
No,
helping
your
one bit.
body can't heal. Yeah, your body
No.
can't heal. Your body listens to your mind. So what your thoughts
Yes.
are becomes your reality. And
Yes.
it's okay sometimes to be like, this sucks. This is hard. But
Yeah.
then you need to be like, okay, this sucks. This is hard,
We're gonna do
but
it.
I can do hard things. And it's
Yeah.
the challenge is fun. I like being challenged. I
Nice.
like doing hard things. I don't want to get bored with stuff. And I think that being on this health journey helps me not get bored because you never know what's
Yes.
gonna happen. And I'm
I
just
don't know,
really
with
excited to
your
continue
stress,
to
maybe you
heal.
need to be bored.
Maybe I
Maybe
need
you need to not
to.
do anything.
I've
Well,
gotten a lot better at that too, letting myself relax.
yes. Yes, it is hard. I will say, I definitely have people who it's hard to sit and do a puzzle. It's hard to sit and do a meal without doing anything, without being
Yeah,
productive in the meal. And I'm just like, I know that seems wild, but we aren't wired to like constantly, do that. So I'm
I
excited
know.
for your goal of like having that one weekend where nothing go
Yes,
girl, nothing
yes,
planned. I think that's a great game changer for sure. But I enjoyed catching up with you and sharing your
yes.
journey. Um, share with us. Do you want to share your Instagram or anywhere where people can connect with you?
Sure. It's Mo Shelby underscore. So
Perfect.
MOSHELBY
Perfect. I'll
Nothing
put it in the show
too
notes.
fun.
I love it. All right,
I post
girl.
stories more than anything else and just share things. And
I love it. Well, thanks so
thank
much
you
for
so
coming
much.
on today.
Yes, thank you.